All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our daily huddle. Jesse Macpherson coming at you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Get some muted here, and we will get started. Hope everyone is having a beautiful Wednesday. It's hump day, middle of the week, all the craziness that's going on. If we have middle of the weeks anymore, we don't know what's going on. It is a crazy world out there. Anyway, I hope everyone's having a spectacular week. And let's see here. So today, want to get into a subject kind of piggybacking off of some of the stuff that I was doing last week. To all the new people, I want to welcome you to the team and welcome you to Social Networking Professionals, Team Elite, to Seacret, and all the wonderful, amazing things that we've got going on over here in the world. We've got our Discover Seacret program, which has been incredible happening right now. We have our agent destination trip to Hawaii, where we're all earning our points for helping people get through mission 1, 2, and 3. The easiest way to get that and knock out your points to get that 150 to 220, I believe, for that trip for 2. Okay. I wanted to talk to you guys about, I had a great call yesterday. It was interesting time. The Zoom was at 4 a.m. my time. Because it was for our Columbia team. And there was over 100 people on the Columbia team, and we did a short training really talking about the kind of the power of personal growth and the power of personal development. And it's one of the things that is so interesting, because inside of our business, I know most people, when they get started, if they were anything like me, I was like, just tell me what to go do and I'll go do it. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And for some reason why I thought that just doing more, doing enough was going to get us there. Now, doing the activities is definitely one of the most important parts of creating success inside of your business. But there's an old saying that we're not human doers, we're human beings. And there was a big kind of shift in my business when I stopped focusing so much on what I needed to do and started focusing on who do I need to become. And that was one of the things that they were asking me. Is they asked a couple of questions that I thought were interesting, which made me kind of think about a kind of a conversation I think we could have here today. Actually, I think for a couple of days here as we kind of finish off this week. But it really goes into the idea of, if you were to characterize, okay, and you were to write on a list the people that you admire and the people that you respect inside of Seacret, inside of network marketing, that have achieved a level of success that you're looking to aspire to get to, whether that is an income level, whether that's an influence level, which is the size of the team that they've grown. And I asked you to write down or describe to me these people. What I have found when I've done this exercise in public formats and I stand on stage and I kind of write up on the board, very rarely does somebody write down something you would do. They write down more something, or they say something that the person would be. You know, they are courageous, they are committed, they are inspirational, so they write down mostly ways of being, not ways of doing. So I want you to kind of think about this in terms of the context of personal growth, really kind of taking on the gauntlet of going, okay, I know where I am today and I'm never going to be there again, because I'm either growing or I'm dying and there is no in between, and making that happen. But that led into the next conversation, which was they just finished off and they had their first rubies in the country. And many people that are striving to get to the next ranks, get to next goals. And one of the guys asked me, he said, hey, I've been, people on my team and me myself, where we've been striving. It's a Tuesday morning, and we had people that missed their goal on Monday night. And a lot of people that are frustrated. And even myself, like I've been frustrated and or angry that I missed my goal. And he said, how do you deal with that? And how do you deal with frustration or missing your goal or running after a goal and not hitting it? And we talked about goal setting and setting proper goals. And I didn't have time to go through all of that, but it did spark an interesting conversation, which was learning to kind of discipline our disappointments. So I want you to kind of put this down in your notes, is write down the word frustration. Okay. And I want you to kind of use this as a topic, because I talked to him and I said, look, frustration is a very important emotion. And because it's not something that you're ever going to be able to remove from the kind of the emotional spectrum. If you are going to go out there and attempt to build something that you've never built, some of you are attempting to go do something that no one in your family has even attempted to do. And I just want, first of all, I want to applaud you for that and give yourselves a little bit of a pat on the back on that, because some of you are a part of or have a family or a structure that has never even attempted to get wealthy. That's like, it's never even been in the cards. It's never, no one's even tried. And part of it is because of this one thing of frustration, and really kind of it piggybacks onto what I'm going to talk about next. But what I found is success is really buried right underneath frustration as long as you don't quit. It's really a part of the process, and learning to use your frustration as fuel. Because I can tell you that I was much more, pain is a much better teacher than pleasure. I'm just letting you know. Pain is, for those of you who have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, so it's like you could tell a kid the stove is hot as many times as you want, but they got to touch it one time to realize that sucker's hot. So that the pain is an incredible teacher, and frustration can be one of the most important emotions that you will ever experience if you can learn how to harness frustration and use it as fuel rather than use it as something that's going to bury you, because you can really have it kind of go either way. And really a big part of that frustration is really is our perception to the word failure. So I want you to write down the word frustration. Underneath it, I want you to write down the word failure. And these are two very important either words. They're also two very important emotions inside of our business. I think they're important inside of our life, because if you want to double your rate of success, the simple answer is to double your rate of failure. Meaning we need to be failing more. But what most people do is they try to avoid failure. They're trying to move away from it. They're trying to mitigate it. They're trying to say, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel that frustration. I don't want to feel that aggravation. I don't want to feel that, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you want to speed things up, we need to be failing faster. And a big thing that I learned early on in my career, and probably one of the most important books that I ever read, was this one right here, John C. Maxwell, Failing Forward. Now, if you have not read this book, if you have not picked up this book, I recommend that you add it to your library. Failing Forward. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit, because what it is it really is kind of gave me a very different perspective on failing and or kind of this frustration that I felt towards missing something or missing a goal. And when I talked to the Colombian team about it on Tuesday or last night or whatever early morning it was, one of the things I talked to them about, I said, one of the biggest reasons of setting a goal is not hitting the goal is stretching you and getting you to get a little bit bigger along the way. If you are bigger than when you set the goal, regardless of the time frame, then the goal really did its job. But I want to read you guys some of this stuff, because it's really important inside of my journey, and I think it's something that might help some of you guys along the side of your journey, and really embracing the failure. Because for me, I always looked at it as there's no such thing as failure, it's just feedback. And if the first year we took it as, okay, I'm going to learn and study and grow, and I'm not going to focus on my income my first year, because I can tell you for a fact, you're going to be disappointed with your check your first year. In fact, you're probably going to be disappointed with your check almost forever. And the reason why I know that is because if you talk to anybody, I don't care. I know people that made $100,000 their first year in Seacret, and they're like, should have been more. Like almost everybody is always frustrated. It doesn't matter. You could make a small amount or a big amount. And I don't know why. It's just high achievers. We're just never satisfied. There's always a bigger mountain. There's always a bigger hill to climb, right? And I want you to understand that, if you're going uphill, like up is a difficult thing in life, whether it be economically or whether it be in just gravity. If you think about it, going up is not the easiest direction because you got to climb. There's no coasting uphill. It doesn't work that way. So, but it says, if the possibility of failure were erased, what would you attempt to achieve inside of your life? And that's an interesting idea when you really think about what it is that we're willing to do and what it is that we're willing to get to in order to redefine what success can be for us. So in this, it talks a little bit about what failure is not. It talks about that people think failure is avoidable. And that's one of the things it talks about. It says it's not. Everyone fails. Everyone errs. Everyone makes mistakes. And as kids, it feels like most of the time as kids, we are much more likely to feel more comfortable in our failure because we're not quite so as concerned as what's going on in the outside world. I always say, thank God we learned to walk as children, because if we had to learn to walk as adults, don't know that many of us would be walking, all right? because you think about the attempt and the fail, the attempt and the fail. Like, think about your kids. They're so resilient, right? So, and how long does it take them to walk? Well, until, like, there's no point where your child does like falls 15 times and you're like, listen, buddy, you're just not a walker. I don't think this is going to happen for you. So, but if as adults, if we attempt something 3, 4, 5 times and we don't get it right or perfect, it's almost kind of like we're like, that's just, I'm just not good at that. That's just not my thing. You know, I mean, other people, yes, but not me. So, but when they also talk about is that people think failure is an event, and it's not. So people think a thing that happens to them is what failure happens. So if I mess up at a presentation, I mess up at an event, look, you're going to mess up a ton. In fact, I encourage you to go mess up some more. When you mess up, just laugh at yourself and laugh with them, and just to be like, listen, that was really bad. I'm so sorry. But give yourself a little bit of space here to be bad before you're good. You're going to suck at stuff for a while. And that's just part of figuring things out. And you're going to have to just go, all right, I'm going to get into the dirt. I'm going to get grimy, and it's just going to be part of it. People think failure is objective. It's not. It talks about the people think failure is the enemy. It's not. The fellow who never makes a mistake takes orders from the ones who do. When we give ourselves permission to fail, we at the same time give ourselves permission to excel. Ooh, some good writing here, John C. Maxwell. People think failure is irreversible. It is not. You're going to mess up. In fact, this is the call that's encouraging you to do it a whole lot more and do it a whole lot faster, all right? So people think failure is a stigma. It's also not. People think failure is final. Also not true. I love this little graph where it talks about at the bottom, where most people at the bottom levels, it talks about being afraid of being a fool, and then it's looking like a fool, and then it's a fool, and then it's successful entrepreneur, and then you're a genius. So in other words, the difference between looking like a fool and acting like a fool and then successful entrepreneur is just kind of the path. Those are the steps that you're going to take along the journey. Why? Because you're going against the grain, you know? Like, if you think about it, like if you just do a simple analogy and say, look, let's say 5% of the population in the U.S. has some sort of financial freedom, some kind of financial ability, and about 95% of the population, statistically by age 65, is going to be dependent on friends, family, and the federal government for basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. When I heard these statistics, I was like, 95% of the population by 65 is going to be dependent on something. And only 5% is going to be independent, meaning isn't going to be relying on anything outside of their own means to be able to take care of themselves for the rest of their lives. When I heard that, I was like, oh God, like that makes me sick to my stomach. But I was also like, how do you get in the 5%? But not just how do you get into the 5%, how do you avoid the 95%? Like, what are they doing? What it means is, like, if you're choosing to go, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and I'm going to differentiate myself, it's 19-1 at all times. Those are the numbers. That means it's almost kind of like if you see 19 people going in one direction, you're going like, I'm going the other way, buddy. Like, find out the opposite of what the masses, the general population is doing. And it doesn't always look good. I'm letting you know right now. I remember when I first started my career, because I was in Los Angeles, and most of you guys know my story. If you don't, I started my career in network marketing. I was a professional hip hop dancer. I taught hip hop classes. That's all I did. I went to college and I taught hip hop classes. And my friends, when I got into network marketing, gave me so much shit. Excuse my language. So, but not really. Like, they were horrible. One of my friends, I called him to invite him over, and he was like, no, I'm not coming. And I was like, why not? I was like, I just want you to come look at what I'm doing. I don't care. I'm not asking you to buy. I'm not asking you to join. Just come support me, right? I just want you to be there, right? And it would mean a lot to me. And I was like, and this is the guy that I drove around, and I never asked him for gas money because he didn't have a car. He drove him to every rehearsal, every practice. This fool called all my other friends and said, Jesse is doing this pyramid scheme thing. He's going to call you. Don't answer his call. He called all my friends, and they didn't pick up the phone, right? I mean, it was just, right? So look, I was not happy with him for a while. That was not good. But at the same time, look, I get it. That was his issue. But those are the things. It was like, we're going against the grain. And for me, I felt like I was just a colossal failure because it was like 4 months until I was able to sign up my first person, right? So, but This is a great one. It talks about from Coca-Cola Company. It says, we don't get paid to produce results. We get paid to produce results. We don't get paid to be right. It also talks about here, one of my other favorite things about this book is, remember, mistakes don't define failure. They are merely the price of achievement on the success journey. So I'm not so concerned about messing up, but I also want you to start asking yourself some questions. Here's where the difference between kind of an employment mentality and an entrepreneur mentality. The employment mentality is being wait to be told what to do, or feeling like you have to get somebody's approval before you go attempt something. And I want you to change the mentality here inside of your business, because you're smarter than you think. But also, I want you to be more kind of trusting in your gut. And here's a great question to start asking yourself. One of my favorite questions is when you don't know what to do. Okay, write this down. When I don't know what to do, ask myself this. When I don't know what to do, ask myself this. If I did know what to do, what would I do? This is one of the best questions you will ever find in your life. If I did know what to do, what would I do? What I find is if you ask yourself the question when you're finding yourself stuck in something, you're like, what do I say to this guy? So, and you go, I don't know, right? And then it's almost like I have to go talk to somebody and find out. If you ask yourself this question, if I did know what to do, what would I, if I did know what to say, what would I say? If I did know how to act, what would I act? If I did know how to present, how would I present? If I did know how to teach this, how would I teach this? If I did know what to do, what would I do? And what you find out is your brain will come up with darn good stuff. Like, it's really cool, actually. Like, I didn't even realize how powerful it was until I started asking itself. I was like, hey, brain, what you got in there for me, buddy? And I found now, don't get me wrong, not all the answers were good, because some of them came out, I was like, no, that was not a good one. Try again. let's do this one again. But a big part of that was learning to ask myself, learning to trust myself, and then attempting. Here's the difference, is attempting it. Okay, I'm going to try this. Let's see if this works. Let's attempt this. Because where most people are afraid of failing, I went out there and did it 15 times, found out 14 ways not to do it, and then got it right, while you're still contemplating on what to say. And this was one of the big differences between how I accelerated my growth curve and how this 19-year-old kid with no business experience, because I wasn't afraid of getting rejected because I had been on auditions in Los Angeles. By the way, if you ever want to actually experience real rejection, network marketing is not the place to do it. Go try to be an actor or a dancer in Los Angeles. Try to be a white dancer in hip hop in Los Angeles, going on auditions where you are the only white guy that's like, no, go. Like, you don't even get to dance. They just typecast you. They'll line you up and they're like, yes, you stay, you go. I thought this isn't a modeling audition. This is a dance audition? No, yeah, the dance audition, but we don't like you. That's rejection. Like, having someone go, I don't like your network marketing business, I don't like your product, that's not rejection. They don't like the product. They don't like the concept. That's not like, hey, you? No, we don't like the way you look. Get out of here. So I want you guys to think in this failure concept in this, but I'm going to read a little bit more to you because I love this. So we have news for you. Motivation is not going to strike you like lightning. And motivation is not something that someone else, a doctor, a nurse, a family member, an upline, okay, can bestow or force upon you. The whole idea of motivation is a trap. Forget motivation. Just do it. Exercise, lose weight, test your blood sugar, do your presentations, post your posts, okay? Do it without motivation. And then guess what? After you start doing the thing, that's when motivation comes and makes it easier for you to keep going. Motivation is like love and happiness. It's a byproduct. When you're actively engaged in doing something, it sneaks up and zaps you when you least expect it. In other words, you're more likely to act your way into feeling than feel yourself into action. Whatever it is you should do, do it. I'm gonna read that one again because it's really good. You're more likely to act yourself into feeling than feel yourself into action. Oh, that's so good, right? So, and Lisa, it's a great quote. I love it. Fake it till you make it. And I kind of rewrote it a little bit because I believe in the fake it till you make it. In other words, in believing in or acting as if. Unfortunately, in network marketing, I think some people have taken that phrase, fake it till you make it. And what they've done is they've tried to fake who they are of their success to make it. In other words, they try to appear more successful than they are. And I would suggest kind of tweaking it a little bit, not so much for you, because I know what you mean when you say it, but unfortunately there are some juvenile people in this profession. And what I would say is faith it till you make it. That really helped me get the concept of going, look, I know where I'm going, because I didn't need the Ferrari and the Lambo and the big expensive things. In fact, I recruited more people when I was broke than after I was making $500,000 a year. And the reason why is I thought I had to be successful is because people weren't concerned about what you have. They wanted to know where you're going. People wanted to know, because when people know you're on a mission, like stand aside for the man and woman who knows where they're going and has a passion, conviction, and courage to go do it. People will follow that person. It's like Forrest Gump. You guys remember Forrest Gump? So Forrest Gump, great movie, right? I love playing this clip at some of my trainings because what Forrest Gump, if you guys remember, he just started running. And then he just started running. And and then what happened was people started following. I don't know if you guys remember the movie, right? So people started following. It was this big thing. And he's like, why are you doing this? He's like, I just felt like running, right? So, and then they're interviewing people they're like, here's a guy who's got it all figured out. Here's a guy who knows what he's doing. And Forrest did not have it all figured out. He did not know exactly what he was doing. Well, so why are you running? He's like, I just felt like all he was just consistent, and he just was going forward and he didn't look back. And so people thought he knew what he was doing. And a big part of our business is just going on a run and going forward and knowing what you're getting at and knowing what you're doing. So a life spent in making mistakes is not only more honorable, it's more useful than a life spent doing nothing. So a big part of this today, I want you guys to understand, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be frustrated. It's just not okay to not do anything. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. Not only is it okay to make mistakes, I want you to start feeling like that is kind of letting the paralyzing fear of failure and that frustration. I want that frustration to fuel you. I want you to go out there and mess up and then get fired up. Like, that's the whole point of getting this thing done here. So some other good stuff in the book. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows that it must outrun the fastest lion or it will be killed. Bad day for the gazelle. Every morning, a lion wakes up in Africa and knows that it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. I guess it doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you'd better be running. Says Forrest Gump. But inside of this, there's some great stuff in this book. So, and I really encourage you guys to start. We talk about as kind of the 7 daily habits of success here, the Secret 7. One of them is growing. One of them is reading, right? So, and the newest book that I picked up, that one of my a guy that I know that's made $60 million in network marketing. He was like, have you read this book? And I was like, no. So what did I do? I immediately bought it. So how I raised myself from failure to success in selling. This is my next book, just arrived yesterday. In this, these are just like some of my babies. These are like some of my books and you can see they're all tatted up and marked up. But you can't let failure from the outside get inside you. You certainly can't control the length of your life, but you can control its width and depth. You can't control the contour of your face, but you can control its expression. You can't control the weather, but you can control the atmosphere of your mind. The Norwegians have a saying that I think captures this attitude best. There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Ooh. So outside of that, let's see what else is in here. Realizing problems of blah, 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 blah. Okay. This one was talking about a trapeze artist from Cirque du Soleil. He was talking about that once you know that the net below will catch you, you stop worrying about falling. You actually learn to fall successfully. What this means is you can concentrate on catching the trapeze swinging towards you and not on falling, because repeated falls in the past have convinced you that the net is strong and reliable when you do fall. The results of falling and being caught by the net is a mysterious confidence and daring on the trapeze. You fall less, and each fall makes you able to risk more. So that's why when I talk about one of the things I love about this organization, I love about this group, is creating a safe environment for people to fail, where it's safe to fail. It's safe to mess up. In fact, you're not going to be ridiculed, and we're not going to cap you at the knees because you messed it up the first time. It's basically going, look, that's what this environment is really about, is encouraging people to continue. So this one's cute. So years ago, when Bear Bryant was coaching the University of Alabama football team, the Crimson Tide was ahead by only 6 points in the game with less than 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Bryant sent his quarterback in there with a game of instructions to play it safe and run out the clock. In the huddle, the quarterback said, "Coach says to play it safe, but that's what they're expecting. Let's give them a surprise." And with that, he called a pass play. When the quarterback dropped back and threw the pass, the defending cornerback, all right, on the defensive side, who is a championship sprinter, intercepted the ball and started heading towards the end zone, expecting to score a touchdown. The quarterback, who was not known to be a good runner, took off after him and ran him down from behind, tackling him on the 5-yard line. His effort saved the game. After the clock ran out, the opposing coach approached Bear Bryant and said, "What's this business about your quarterback not being a runner? He ran down my speedster from behind." Bryant said, "Your man was running for 6 points. My man was running for his life." And a good lesson. So pain is a really good teacher. So in fact, it's probably one of the best. And so here's some of the good stuff. Security. No. Well, I'll let you guys read some of that stuff. Don't wait for all the lights to turn green before you leave the house. You probably heard me say that once or twice. Here's where I got it. See, not that smart. I just regurgitate stuff. So you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Oh, look at that. Look at that. These are all things. See, there's the thing. I just read a bunch of books. I stole it, and I sound like I'm wise. Contrary to popular belief, okay, I consider failure a necessity in business. If you're not failing at least 5 times a day, you're probably not doing enough. The more you do, the more you fail. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the better you get. The operative word here is learn. If you repeat the same mistakes 2 or 3 times, you're not learning from them. You must learn from your own mistakes and from the mistakes of others before you. Okay. And last little bit here, we wrap up today. Talking about how Albert Einstein, Edgar Allan Poe, and John Sally were all expelled from school for being mentally slow. That just helped me feel good, just because school was not so great. But John C. Maxwell, Failing Forward. It's an incredible book. And there's so many books on the subject, but this is one of those books that I think is really important, because on the kind of the pathway to success, I think sometimes it's easy to forget that we're focusing on so much positive. And I know that's one of the things that I've definitely done in my life, is I've been so focused on trying to always kind of put a positive spin on things and look on the bright side of things. And there, what's wrong is always available, and it's always what's right. And those things are so true. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to be dealing with those frustrations and those real things. And today, I can tell you that from being stuck in the house and people doing all these jobs that they normally don't do, and moms homeschooling kids that you're like, I didn't go to school to be a teacher. That was not my, and people taking on more responsibilities and having income stresses and having, and for some people, just everything's been heightened and these emotions have been heightened. And right now, I want you to be really cognizant of your perception and your reaction to frustration and to failure. And I want you to be thinking about these 2 things here today. And I want you to think about them over the course of this week. Is how can I use my frustration in a better way? Number 1. Number 2 is how can I take on a better perception of failure and be more excited about that process? Because we're going to ask you to grow, and asking you to grow means we're going to have to stretch. Asking you to stretch means we're going to have to get uncomfortable, and getting uncomfortable is not easy to do, because it got to get you out of your comfort zone if we want to do more and have more and become more. So failing forward. That's our conversation here for today. So hopefully there was some good stuff here for you today. We'll be back here tomorrow with some more tips, some more huddling, and some more awesomeness. Let's make it a great Wednesday, and we'll see you guys soon. Jesse Mack signing off. Bye for now.